Every time you start your lawnmower to kill backyard pests, you actually send a chemical signal for them to multiply. A perfectly cut lawn looks sterile, but underneath that green carpet, a hidden war has already been decided in the insect's favor. Wolf spiders, family Lycosidae, need tall grass stems to anchor their webs and stalk prey at night across open turf. Ground beetles, family Carabidae, hide in leaf litter and root thatch, hunting grubs before they ever reach adulthood. Mow that lawn to 2 inches every week, and both hunters lose their cover, their moisture, and their hunting grounds entirely. Entomologists call a lawn stripped of layered vegetation a monoculture desert canopy, a term borrowed from failed farmland studies. That desert canopy still hides moisture and warmth just inches below the surface, perfect conditions for buried colonies. Without wolf spiders patrolling the blades, egg-laying insects near the surface face zero nightly predation pressure. Without ground beetles tunneling through thatch, larvae hatch undisturbed instead of being hunted within days of emerging. Your weekly mowing routine, meant to look tidy, has quietly cleared every natural check on the population beneath your feet. So the lawn looks clean above ground, while a colony below multiplies unchecked, protected by the very grass you just trimmed short. This is not a rare backyard accident. Entomologists have documented predator collapse in short turf across residential zones. Remove the predators, and the surviving colony gains something rarer than food. It gains uninterrupted time to reproduce. But losing predators alone does not explain sudden population spikes. Something else has to trigger rapid growth underground. That trigger is not chemical, and it is not food. It is something the mower does the moment its blade engages the ground. The colony is terrified by seismic vibration. So why do the insects stay and expand instead of fleeing the yard entirely? A gas lawnmower generates ground vibration in the range of 100 to 400 Hz as its blade cuts through turf. To an ant colony a few inches below, that frequency mimics the seismic signature of a large animal or a collapsing structure. Termite colonies detect vibration through sensory organs in their legs called subgenual organs, tuned to exactly this range. A single pass of the mower can register underground as an event on the scale of a predator attack or a minor earthquake. Fleeing is the normal response. Workers usually seal tunnels and retreat deeper when they sense danger of this magnitude. But a lawn mowed every 7 days offers the colony no undisturbed exit route, since the surface threat repeats constantly. Trapped in a repeating danger cycle, the colony shifts from a defense strategy to an emergency reproduction strategy instead. This shift is called emergency alate production, where the colony rushes to create winged reproductives before conditions worsen. Alates are the winged males and queens whose entire purpose is to leave a dying colony and establish new ones elsewhere. In other words, your mower is not just failing to kill the colony, it is convincing the colony that it is about to die. A colony convinced of its own destruction does not shrink, it accelerates reproduction to guarantee survival elsewhere. Repeated vibration also compacts the soil above active tunnels, collapsing narrow passages the colony relied on for airflow. Compacted soil forces workers to dig new tunnels, and new tunnels mean new chambers, and new chambers mean more nursery space. So the very compaction meant to firm up your lawn is handing the colony additional real estate for its next generation. Vibration alone can explain panic and tunnel expansion, but it cannot explain why the colony has enough food to grow this fast. Something else is feeding that growth, and it comes from the one part of this process homeowners never suspect: the grass itself. If the colony is expanding because it is well fed, what exactly is feeding an underground population this quickly? Every blade of grass cut by a mower releases a group of airborne chemicals called green leaf volatiles within seconds of the cut. One of these compounds, cis-3-hexanyl acetate, is the source of what most people simply call the smell of fresh cut grass. To humans, that scent means a clean, maintained yard. But to soil-dwelling insects, it functions as a distress signal. Cis-3-hexanyl acetate tells nearby insects that grass tissue has been wounded and its root system is now under active stress. A stressed root system produces weaker chemical defenses, making it an easier target for larvae that feed underground. Scarab beetle grubs, the larval stage of species like Japanese beetles, track this exact volatile to locate feeding sites. So the pleasant scent drifting across your yard after mowing is to a grub several inches down, a dinner bell ringing weekly. Every mow releases a fresh burst of this signal, meaning the colony receives a renewed food alert on a predictable schedule. A weekly food alert paired with weekly seismic panic creates a colony living in a constant cycle of threat and reward. Under that cycle, larvae that would normally take a full season to mature can reach feeding size in a fraction of the time. Faster larval growth means faster turnover, and faster turnover means the colony can support far more offspring at once. But feeding more larvae requires more workers to gather food, and more workers requires the queen to lay far more eggs. This is where the chemical trail and the panic response converge, both pointing toward the same overworked source, the queen. A colony under stress with abundant food does not simply grow steadily. It restructures its entire reproductive priority. Worker ants have been documented redirecting larval feeding toward reproductive development when root food surges suddenly. That redirection means fewer future workers and far more future queens and males, shifting the colony toward rapid expansion. The mowed lawn has become an accidental feeding station, but the question now is what this is doing to the queen herself. What happens when this hyper-accelerated colony finally runs out of room beneath a suburban lawn? Inside the central chamber, the queen receives every one of these signals through trophallaxis, the exchange of nutrients between workers. Elevated food intake combined with repeated vibration stress triggers a documented spike in juvenile hormone within her body. Juvenile hormone regulates caste development, and a spike in the queen directly increases the rate of her egg production. In several ant species, this hormonal shift also awakens dormant neotenic reproductives, secondary queens that normally stay inactive. Neotenic reproductives can begin laying eggs of their own, meaning one stressed colony can suddenly behave like several. Short-cut grass provides almost no shade, so soil temperature just below the surface rises several degrees during daylight hours. Warmer soil accelerates egg incubation time, meaning each new batch of larvae hatches sooner than it would under longer grass. Faster incubation paired with multiple laying queens produces a growth curve that no longer resembles a normal colony cycle. This is no longer one queen managing one nest. It is a stressed, overheated system manufacturing offspring on multiple fronts. Homeowners see none of this. They see a green lawn, a quiet yard, and no visible reason to suspect anything underground. But biologists studying urban pest colonies describe this exact combination as a precursor to what is called a supercolony event. A supercolony forms when population pressure inside a nest exceeds the physical space the original tunnels can support. When that threshold is reached, the colony does not simply stop growing. It begins searching for a second location to occupy. That search does not happen at the edge of the yard. It happens toward the nearest source of stable shelter and moisture. And the nearest stable shelter, in almost every suburban case documented, is the concrete foundation of the house itself. The colony is not spreading randomly through the yard. It is moving in one direction, straight toward your home's foundation. This process is called colony budding, where a single nest splits into multiple independent nests called polygyne colonies. Each new node in a polygyne colony operates with its own laying queen, multiplying the original population instead of dividing it. Budded colonies migrate along moisture gradients, and foundation slabs retain groundwater long after the surrounding soil dries. Entomologists tracking urban ant and termite spread have repeatedly documented budding colonies terminating at foundation cracks. So the timeline is simple. Missing predators, panic-driven reproduction, root feeding, and a queen in overdrive all converge here. Breaking this cycle does not require pesticide. It requires removing the exact conditions that started it in the first place. Entomologists recommend raising mower blade height to 3.5 inches, restoring enough canopy for predators to return. That single height change lets wolf spiders and ground beetles recolonize the lawn within a matter of weeks in most cases. Taller grass also reduces blade damage per cut, which sharply lowers the release of cis-3-hexanyl acetate after every mow. Lower vibration frequency from less frequent cutting, combined with restored predators, breaks the panic and feeding cycle entirely. That is the full mechanism. Missing predators, seismic panic, chemical feeding signals, and a hyperactive queen, all triggered by routine mowing. And if you want the next hidden mechanism hiding in your own backyard, subscribe now before the next colony finds its way to your foundation.